Hi, Perry Creek. I just want to take a few minutes to share with you some opportunities that are going on. By now, you've seen and heard different ways that we're trying to share this time with you. But I just want to talk to you about from the financial side of things. You know, our church has always tried to be just as transparent as we can with our finances. We want to speak truth, and we don't want to do anything where we have left anybody out or leave people with questions. So we will try to do our best to answer all the questions. Now, I won't be doing that in this speech or this time with you, but we will answer any questions you have. But I want to take just a moment to thank our property team that has been working so hard. We charge them to go out and look for both short-term and long-term property, and they've been diligently working that. At the same time, our lead team has been praying about the question of short-term and long-term property. Well, as often happens, God's time is not the same as our time, and we don't know that God is telling us it's time, but we do know that God has opened up an opportunity. And so we want you to be a partner with us in making this decision and praying through it. So I'm just going to talk about the opportunity. I think most of you have heard this and what have led us to make this choice. First, there's a big difference between being a one-day-a-week group and having a 7-day-a-week at home, where we can go home and rest as a church family. Okay? Right now, we are paying about $2,500 a month or $30,000 a year for 6 hours a time at Riverbend Elementary School, 1 day a week. What that allows us to do is gather corporately and worship and have time for Christian education for our children. What a 7-day-a-week opportunity would be for us is the same thing, worship, okay? But we could have special worship services whenever we wanted to. Things like, I don't know, Christmas Eve services, which are going to be a struggle for us this year to figure out how to do that. But it also opens up a whole world of possibilities for ministry opportunities to be in our community and to share our space and our time and our talents and our treasure with our community. Like I said, we're currently paying about $30,000 a year, which equates to about $4.28 per square foot of what we're using at Riverbend Elementary School. And I just have to say, I'm always amazed at the way that God has been generous through your giving to our church. And again, thank you for that. And because of that, we have about $150,000 in our operating reserve, which gives us lots of flexibility to do different things. So we're not coming to you out of a sense of need or that God has not given us enough to do what He's asked us to do. Far be it from that. If you don't take anything else away from this, know that God has been generous in His gifting to us. Okay. But as we started to look at short-term and long-term opportunities, the first thing we were looking at in the short term is maybe finding another place to do the 1 day a week thing that we've been doing. The problem is there's very few places that we could do that, and most of the places where we could do that already have somebody using that in what would be the prime times of Sunday morning or Saturday night, and they're much more expensive just for another 1 day a week place. So we also have been praying about how God might begin to move us to a 7-day-a-week church. We also don't have any guarantee that anytime in the very near future we're going to be able to get back into Riverbend. That may be the whole rest of this school year, and even if we go back in, the prices are going to go way up because there's going to be a huge cleaning cost that goes with us being in there anytime. So that then begins to make us look toward renting commercial space for 7 days a week. And that's going to be a big step up in financing. Okay? As we've been looking in our community, as our team's been looking at it, we really were trying to focus on two things. Where can we be where there is a community to love and minister to? And we also would like to stay, if possible, in the Perry Creek area where we've begun to make relationships. We don't want to be, just because it's cheap, in an industrial park where nobody can find us and there's no community around us to support and minister. Now, we're not putting any limitations on God, and God will send us where He wants to send us. But the space and the opportunity we're looking at is we're looking at commercial space. The low end of commercial space is about $13 per square foot. The high end is somewhere in the mid-20s. Mid-20s is not really affordable for us. The low end is not really good space. Okay, it's warehouses and garages that will need a lot of money to replace, and they're not really in community. So what we found is this wonderful space over in the Tompkins International Building. If you've been with us from the beginning, that's where we started. That's where we did our core training. It's right across the street from Wake Tech North. If you're new to us, I encourage you to go take a look at it. You've probably driven by it on the way to Riverbend Elementary School. It's a very nice building. Actually, it's 2 buildings on the property. But if we enter into a contract with them, our rent will go up. In fact, it will go up significantly. We're probably going to be somewhere in the $16 to $17 per square foot area. And if you remember what we were paying at Riverbend, $4.28. So, we're talking about a sizable 3.5 to 4 times more in rent. Now, we're in early days of making a deal, and God's got the deal in control. God's the one that knows whether this is the deal for us or not, and He's going to reveal that to us in several ways. And deals can be made in all kinds of ways, but what we're looking at, the most likely way this deal will work for us is if we're able to put down a one-time large piece of capital at the beginning, because we're talking about a 4-year capital lease, and anywhere where we lease is going to be a 3 to 5 year capital lease. So we're looking at probably a 4-year capital lease, and the way the numbers work best for us is if we can put down $100,000 to $120,000 up front, which will make our monthly payments still more than what we're making now, but much more manageable. Even if we get into that deal, we still will have to have some upfit costs to change the space from being used as an office space to what we need, especially for our worship space. And so there's going to be some money that's going to cost too. But we think we can cover that with our operating reserves. We're not worried about doing that. The big thing is going to be the upfront giving. But the main thing is we need to hear from you. This is not a lead team decision. The lead team is working through this and is praying about it, and we're trying to bring you the best information we can. And the lead team is excited about this as an opportunity because it seems to meet all the needs and all the parameters that we put on what we would want for permanent space. It is a place in a community, and it's in Perry Creek. And selfishly, I'll tell you, I love this building when we were in it before, and many of us have dreamed about being back there someday, okay? But that doesn't mean that's what God's plan is. So we want to hear from you, and we need your input. There's a couple of ways that we're gonna reach out to you for that. We're gonna put together a survey and give you an opportunity to speak to us through that survey. What we're asking you is to tell us what God has been revealing to you during this time of prayer. The survey is going to ask you 5 questions. It's going to ask you, has God revealed to you whether or not we need to be a 7-day-a-week church? The next question is going to say, has God said that maybe the Thompson space is the space? The third question is now the time for us to even be thinking about being a 7-day-a-week church? The fourth question asks a more personal question. What is God asking you to do to participate in this? If you've said yes to number 1 and to number 3, whether we go to the Tompkin building or not, we're going to need to have a plan of how we can move forward in leasing space. And so the fourth one is God asking you to give a one-time upfront gift so we can release commercial space? And then the fifth question is, if you answered yes to number 4, how much is God asking you to give? Now, Perry Creek, we have always said, and we will always say at Perry Creek, what you give to Perry Creek Church is between you and God. We always want you to be praying about that, and that's between you and God. If God is telling you that He would like you to participate in this event, great. But if God is saying no, then he's probably saying it for one of two reasons. This isn't the right time or the right opportunity for us and for you to participate in, or he's got something down the road that he's going to want you to participate in, but not this opportunity. And so that's between you and God, and we want you to prayerfully pray about that. Okay, that's the survey. The next opportunity is going to be, we are praying hard that we're going to get to meet this Saturday, okay? And we are praying hard that God's going to push and keep that hurricane far enough to the west that we can meet for an hour on Saturday at 5:30 at Open Door, okay? And during that service, the lead team and the small group leaders are going to be in the front, and there's going to be a time for you to come forward and talk to any member of the lead team or any small group leader you want to talk to express two things: any concerns that you might have about this, and we also want to hear, what has God been telling you? Okay, because we do believe in prayer. It's one of our 5 pillars. And we don't believe that the lead team needs to pray for discernment and you just need to listen to us. We believe that every member of our church has the opportunity to be a prophet and to speak for God into this. Okay? And so we do cover this. The last thing I want to say to you is, I know this seems that it's coming fast, and that we're asking you to make some big choices and some big decisions in a rapid way. And even some of the lead team members are looking at each other going, man, this is not how we thought this was going to happen. It is happening so fast. But you know, sometimes that's the way God works. Sometimes he gives us all the time we need to get comfortable with him. But sometimes we forget that Aslan is a lion. And sometimes he roars. And he expects us to follow when he does. And I'm not saying that God is making this urgent. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's revealing to you this is moving too fast. Okay? But no matter what the choice is, we're not talking about having to make a decision in hours or days. It's not that fast. But we are talking about having to make a decision, at least on this one opportunity, in weeks. Okay? And if this opportunity doesn't come to fruition, there will be other opportunities. God is still in control, and this won't be a crushing thing to us if this doesn't happen. Perry Creek, I love you, and I just ask you to keep praying and listening to God, because I know he's in control, and I know he has the answer, and I look forward to hearing from each of you.